I wish I were Johnny Mathis. So mainstream, so popular, so unironic, yet perfect. Effortlessly boyish at over 70 years old, with a voice that still makes all of America want to make out. Heavenly, warm. Yes, I'll say it out loud. Wonderful, wonderful. I saw Johnny Mathis in real life once, but he didn't see me. The best way to glimpse a role model. I had just pulled into the parking lot of Tower Video off Sunset Boulevard in West Hollywood with my good friend, the photographer Greg Gorman. Oh my God, said Greg, who was never impressed with celebrities, having shot them for billboards, movie posters, and album covers for 30 years. Don't look up, but Johnny Mathis just pulled in next to us. And there he was, in a sports car with the top down and a cashmere sweater tied around his shoulders. Good Lord, Johnny Mathis himself. The legend you never hear about, never see on the red carpet, never read about in the gossip columns. Highly successful, but nearly invisible. Smooth forever and ever. As my favorite girl group of the 60s, the Shangri-Las, might have said about how I felt that day, that's called impressed. I never got over seeing Johnny Mathis in the parking lot. I'd secretly think about those 30 seconds at odd moments, like when the Acela train between Baltimore and New York would have to stop so inspectors could examine the corpses of suicide victims who threw themselves on the tracks, or waiting in line at the Department of Motor Vehicles to renew my driver's license, or sometimes right when I woke up, bam, for no apparent reason, there he'd be, Johnny Mathis in that car with that sweater. Is it because Johnny Mathis is the polar opposite of me? A man whose greatest hits album was on the Billboard charts for 490 consecutive weeks, versus me, a cult filmmaker whose core audience, no matter how much I've crossed over, consists of minorities who can't even fit in with their own minorities. Do we secretly idolize our imagined opposites, yearning to become the role models for others we know we could never be for ourselves? When I taught filmmaking at a jail in Maryland in the 1980s, I always got my class to loosen up by doing improv and asking them to play the exact opposite of yourself. If Freud described psychotherapy as transforming hysterical misery into common unhappiness, I figured this might be a revealing way to rehabilitate. Bikers wound up playing girls, blacks chose characters with wealth and power, whites became docile maids or butlers, and child molesters became tough guys. But did I need my own prison counselor because I kept reliving that Johnny Mathis opposite moment? Why would the mere sight of a performer so far outside the standard boundaries of my hero worship launch me into such a blissful, rapturous obsession? At this point in my career, could my misplaced idolatry become a roadmap to ruin? Was I in danger of becoming a Johnny Mathis stalker? I figured I'd better try to meet him in a more legitimate way before I got in trouble.